John Cena might be facing the fight of his life, and this time it's not against a rival in the ring but against something far more terrifying that no championship belt can protect him from. The whispers have been growing louder, the speculation more intense, and the clues more disturbing with each passing week. What if everything we thought we knew about why our hero is walking away from wrestling is just the surface of a much darker reality? What if the real reason the man who taught us to never give up is finally stepping back involves a battle that even his legendary strength might not be enough to overcome? Stick around because what you're about to discover will change how you see everything about Cena's final year, and trust me, you need to hear this before you draw any conclusions. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button because this is the kind of truth that the wrestling world needs to hear, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. The 16-time world champion who has carried WWE on his shoulders for over 2 decades suddenly announces he's done, and we're supposed to believe it's just because he wants to pursue movies and spend time doing other things? Come on, WWE Universe, we're smarter than that. We've watched this man wrestle through torn muscles, broken bones, and injuries that would end most careers before they started. This is the same guy who returned from a torn pectoral muscle in record time, the same warrior who never took the easy way out, never complained, and never backed down from any challenge thrown his way. So when someone with that kind of track record suddenly decides to walk away while he can still go, while he can still deliver those attitude adjustments and five-knuckle shuffles that make crowds lose their minds, something doesn't add up. The pieces of this puzzle are scattered across social media, hidden in his recent appearances, and buried in the details that most fans aren't paying close enough attention to. Remember when Cena used to show up at every single house show, every Monday Night Raw, every SmackDown, and still have energy to grant wishes for sick kids the next morning? That schedule would break ordinary human beings. But Cena made it look effortless for years. But lately, something shifted. Those who've been paying attention noticed he started looking different, not just older but changed in ways that go beyond normal aging. His face seemed thinner at times, his energy not quite as explosive, and his appearances became more selective and calculated. Sure, Hollywood commitments can explain some of that, but this is John Cena we're talking about. The man who once worked a full-time WWE schedule while filming movies on his days off. The guy who redefined what it meant to be dedicated to the business. When someone like that starts pulling back, when the hustle seems to slow down, when the loyalty to the grind appears to waver, it's not because he suddenly got lazy or lost his passion. The cancer rumors started as hushed conversations in wrestling forums, dismissed by most as typical internet conspiracy theories that pop up whenever a major star makes a career decision. But then more people started connecting dots that created a picture nobody wanted to see. Fans who attended recent events swore they noticed differences in how Cena moved, how he carried himself, subtle changes that might mean nothing or might mean everything. Medical professionals who follow wrestling started weighing in with their observations, carefully avoiding definitive diagnoses but pointing out that certain signs could indicate serious health issues. The wrestling community has seen this pattern before with other legends, the gradual realization that something terrible was happening behind the scenes while we were all focused on storylines and championships. Think about every time Cena has faced adversity in his career. When fans turned on him and chanted negative things during his matches, he absorbed it and kept going. When critics said he couldn't wrestle and only knew 5 moves, he evolved his in-ring work and proved them wrong. When younger stars wanted his spot, he helped elevate them instead of holding them down like some veterans do. Every obstacle, every challenge, every setback became fuel for him to work harder and prove doubters wrong. But cancer doesn't care about your work ethic. It doesn't respect your accomplishments or your determination. It doesn't get impressed by your legacy or your fan base. Cancer is the ultimate heel that fights dirty, attacks from within, and doesn't follow any rules or scripts. If this is what Cena is facing, it represents an opponent unlike anything he's encountered in his entire career. The timing of his retirement announcement felt off to anyone who knows how these things usually work in WWE. Wrestlers typically retire when they can't physically perform anymore, when the injuries pile up so high that their bodies simply refuse to cooperate. Or they fade away gradually, taking reduced schedules until they're barely around and everyone forgets they're technically still active. Cena didn't do either of those things. He announced a farewell tour while he's still capable of performing at a high level, while fans still want to see him, while there's money to be made and stories to tell. That decision suggests someone who knows they're on a countdown, someone who wants to control the narrative of their ending while they still can. It's the choice of a man who has information about his future that makes him want to squeeze everything possible out of his remaining time in the ring. WWE fans have incredible instincts for when something real is happening versus when we're being worked. We can feel the difference between scripted drama and genuine emotion bleeding through the performance. When Cena announced his retirement tour, something in his voice, in his eyes, in the way he carried himself spoke to a deeper truth than just a planned career transition. The vulnerability he showed wasn't the vulnerability of a character playing a role but of a human being confronting something massive and frightening. We've seen Cena the character show vulnerability in storylines, but this was different. This felt like John Felix Anthony Cena Jr. the person, not the WWE superstar persona we've watched for years. The Make-A-Wish record he holds stands at over 650 wishes granted, a number that no other celebrity in any field has come close to matching. Imagine the hours spent with terminally ill children, the families facing every parent's worst nightmare, the hospital rooms filled with both hope and heartbreak. Cena didn't just show up for photo opportunities and quick handshakes. He invested real time and genuine emotion into making those kids feel special and giving them memories to cherish. He's looked into the eyes of young cancer patients fighting battles that would destroy most adults. He's held the hands of families praying for miracles. Those experiences change a person at a fundamental level. They teach you what really matters and what's just noise. If Cena now finds himself in a similar position to those kids he spent years trying to help, the cruel irony would be almost unbearable to contemplate. Wrestling fans pride themselves on being tough, on appreciating the athletic brutality and dramatic intensity of what happens in that squared circle. But we're also a family, a global community bound together by our love for this crazy form of entertainment that's part sport, part theater, and entirely unique. When one of our heroes falls, when someone who's given us so many memories faces a crisis, we feel it collectively. The outpouring of concern over these Cena rumors, whether they prove true or false, demonstrates the deep connection between performers and fans that makes wrestling special. We're not just passive consumers watching from a distance. We're invested emotionally in these people who've become part of our lives through their work. Consider what it means to be John Cena in WWE. You're the guy they call when they need someone reliable to carry a storyline. You're the person they trust to represent the company in media appearances and corporate partnerships. You're the face on the merchandise that keeps revenue flowing. You're the name that guarantees ticket sales and television ratings. That pressure would crush most people, but Cena thrived under it for years. He accepted the responsibility and delivered consistently at a level that justified the faith placed in him. But that kind of pressure also comes with costs that accumulate over time. The stress of being the number one guy, the physical toll of working hard to avoid letting people down, the mental strain of never being allowed to have an off night because so much depends on your performance. Those factors create conditions where health problems can develop and worsen while you're too busy being Superman to notice you're human. The physical evidence that fans have noticed includes things that might seem minor individually but together create a concerning pattern. Weight fluctuations that seem inconsistent with someone who's maintained peak conditioning for decades. Facial changes that go beyond normal aging processes. Energy levels that don't match what we've come to expect from someone with Cena's legendary stamina. Again, any of these things could have innocent explanations. People's bodies change as they enter their 40s. Different training focuses produce different results. Hollywood roles sometimes require physical transformations that alter appearance. But when you put all these observations together with the sudden retirement decision, with the emotional weight of his recent appearances, with the way he's talking about his final year, a picture emerges that suggests something more serious than just a planned career transition. The wrestling business has a dark history with health issues that nobody likes to talk about but everyone knows exists. Too many performers have died too young from heart problems, drug overdoses, untreated injuries, and yes, cancer. The lifestyle demands of constant travel, disrupted sleep schedules, physical trauma, and the temptation to use substances to manage pain or maintain performance create perfect conditions for health catastrophes. WWE has implemented wellness programs and medical protocols that represent real progress compared to the Wild West days of previous eras. But the fundamental nature of professional wrestling means risks persist that no amount of policy can completely eliminate. If Cena is dealing with a serious health crisis, it would be another reminder that this form of entertainment extracts real costs from the people who dedicate their lives to it. Cancer treatment protocols have advanced dramatically, offering hope where previous generations had only despair. But even with the best medical care money can buy, the journey remains brutal. Chemotherapy destroys cancer cells but also damages healthy tissue, causing nausea, fatigue, hair loss, and weakened immune systems. Radiation therapy targets tumors but can burn surrounding areas and create long-term side effects. Surgery might remove diseased tissue but leave scars both visible and internal. The recovery process demands patience and rest, two things that don't come naturally to someone wired like Cena who spent his life pushing through discomfort and outworking everyone around him. For a professional wrestler whose career depends on physical capability and visual presentation, cancer treatment could effectively end their ability to perform even if the treatment succeeds in beating the disease. The retirement tour concept takes on heartbreaking new dimensions if health concerns drive the timeline. Every match becomes potentially one of the last chances fans have to see this legend in action. Every city on the schedule represents another group of people who might be witnessing the end of an era without fully understanding the weight of the moment. The nostalgia and celebration that typically accompany farewell tours get mixed with fear and sadness about what might be forcing this goodbye. Cena has always been master of connecting with audiences emotionally, of making people feel something real during his performances. If he's working through his final matches knowing he's fighting for his life outside the ring, the emotional intensity of those moments will be almost overwhelming for everyone involved. WWE Creative has built some of the most compelling storylines in history around real-life struggles that performers faced. They've incorporated genuine injuries into angles, used real relationships and conflicts to fuel on-screen drama, and blurred reality with fiction in ways that make the product more engaging. But there are lines that shouldn't be crossed, genuine traumas that deserve to remain private rather than becoming storyline fodder. If Cena is battling cancer, that's not something to exploit for ratings or use to generate social media engagement. That's a human being facing mortality and deserving space to fight his battle with dignity and privacy. The challenge for WWE becomes how to give fans the farewell tour they deserve while respecting whatever Cena might be dealing with personally. That balance requires sensitivity and restraint that the wrestling business doesn't always demonstrate. Social media has transformed how we experience and discuss wrestling, giving fans unprecedented access to performers and creating communities that span the globe. But it's also created environments where rumors spread like wildfire, where speculation morphs into accepted fact, and where the line between public interest and invasive nosiness gets trampled regularly. The Cena health rumors demonstrate both the best and worst of this dynamic. On one hand, the collective concern shows how much people care and want to support someone who's meant a lot to them. On the other hand, the endless speculation and analysis of every detail of someone's appearance and behavior represents an invasion of privacy that nobody should have to endure. Finding the balance between being an engaged fan and being a respectful human being requires more thought than most social media interactions encourage. The business implications of losing Cena extend beyond just missing one performer. He represents institutional knowledge about how WWE operates, relationships with media and sponsors, and credibility that takes decades to build. His absence leaves a void that can't be filled by simply pushing another wrestler into his spot. You can't manufacture the kind of connection Cena built with audiences over 20+ years of consistency and hard work. WWE has done better in recent years at building multiple stars rather than relying so heavily on one top guy, but Cena's role transcends normal roster dynamics. He's a bridge between eras, someone who worked with Attitude-era legends and helped establish the current generation. Losing that connective tissue affects the company in ways that go beyond immediate business metrics. Think about all the classic Cena matches that are etched into WWE history. His wars with Edge that defined the mid-2000s. The battles with CM Punk that created some of the most intense crowd reactions ever witnessed. His matches with AJ Styles that proved he could still go at the highest level with the best workers in the world. The encounters with Roman Reigns that felt like passing the torch moments. His surprise return at the Royal Rumble that had entire arenas losing their minds. Each of those moments represents not just a match but a piece of our lives as fans, a memory attached to where we were and who we were with when we watched it happen. The possibility that those moments are all we'll get, that we're now living through the final chapter of the Cena story, brings a melancholy that's hard to shake. The impact Cena has had on younger wrestlers coming up through WWE's system cannot be overstated. He set standards for professionalism, work ethic, and how to carry yourself as the face of the company. New performers watched how he handled pressure, how he dealt with criticism, how he showed up every single time regardless of circumstances. Those lessons get passed down and shape future generations of talent. His willingness to work with and elevate younger talent, even when it might have been easier politically to protect his spot at the top, earned respect throughout the locker room. If he's facing a health crisis now, those same younger wrestlers he helped will undoubtedly want to return the support, creating a network of care that extends across the wrestling world. The financial resources available to someone of Cena's stature provide advantages in fighting serious illness that most patients don't have access to. He can afford the best specialists, the most advanced treatments, and the support services that make the journey more manageable. He doesn't have to worry about medical bankruptcy or choosing between treatment and keeping a roof over his head. These advantages are real and significant, potentially affecting outcomes in meaningful ways. But all the money in the world can't eliminate the fear, the pain, the uncertainty that comes with a cancer diagnosis. It can't protect you from the emotional toll of treatment or guarantee survival. Wealth provides options but not immunity. Understanding this reminds us that while circumstances differ, the fundamental human experience of facing mortality connects us all regardless of bank account balances or social status. The wrestling community has rallied around sick performers before with incredible displays of support and generosity. When Jim Ross faced cancer, the outpouring of love from fans and colleagues was overwhelming. When Roman Reigns announced his leukemia had returned, WWE Universe showed a side of itself that critics claim doesn't exist, setting aside booking complaints to support a human being in crisis. If Cena needs similar support, the response will likely dwarf previous efforts given his unprecedented reach and impact. Imagine fundraisers, awareness campaigns, and community initiatives all focused on cancer research and patient support, all launched by wrestling fans channeling their passion into positive action. The energy WWE Universe brings to everything it does, when directed toward worthwhile causes, creates real change in the world. The psychology of watching someone you admire face serious illness taps into deep fears and uncomfortable truths. We project onto celebrities, seeing them as somehow above the struggles that affect regular people. When reality punctures that illusion, when we're forced to confront that even the strongest among us are vulnerable, it triggers existential anxiety that's hard to process. If Cena is fighting cancer, he becomes a mirror reflecting our own mortality back at us. Every fan who's cheered for him suddenly must contemplate a world where he's not around, where the permanence we assumed was illusion, where nothing is guaranteed no matter how much we want to believe otherwise. This psychological reckoning is part of why health rumors about beloved figures generate such intense reactions beyond simple concern for the individual involved. The practical realities of undergoing cancer treatment while maintaining any kind of public presence are daunting. Treatment schedules consume enormous amounts of time and energy. Side effects make even basic tasks challenging. The immune suppression that comes with many treatments makes exposure to crowds dangerous. For someone accustomed to performing in front of thousands, to feeding off audience energy and interaction, the isolation required during treatment would be psychologically difficult beyond the physical challenges. The decision about how much to continue public appearances versus focusing entirely on health becomes complicated when your identity and sense of purpose are so tied to your public role. There's no right answer, only choices that prioritize different values and needs. Wrestling fans have complicated relationships with the performers we follow. We boo heroes and cheer villains based on our preferences rather than intended reactions. We complain about booking decisions and fantasy book how things should go differently. We debate endlessly about who's overrated and who deserves pushes. But underneath all that passionate arguing and criticism lies genuine affection for these people who've entertained us over the years. When something truly serious happens, when the stakes become real rather than scripted, all the petty complaints and critiques fall away. What remains is recognition of the human beings who've dedicated their lives to this bizarre form of entertainment and gratitude for what they've provided. The Cena rumors, whether confirmed or debunked, remind us to appreciate what we have while we have it, to not take for granted that these performers will always be around. The information vacuum created by lack of official statements from Cena or WWE creates space for speculation to flourish. In the absence of facts, people construct narratives that fit the evidence they think they see. These narratives take on lives of their own, spreading across platforms and becoming entrenched in community consciousness. Eventually, separating rumor from reality becomes nearly impossible without definitive statements from credible sources. The pressure on Cena to address speculation publicly conflicts with his right to medical privacy and personal boundaries. No one should have to disclose private health information just because strangers on the internet want confirmation of their theories. Yet the silence that protects privacy also feeds the rumor mill in frustrating cycles that benefit no one. The legacy question looms large as Cena approaches the end of his in-ring career. What will people remember most about his time in WWE? The championships and main event matches? The memes and entrance music that became cultural phenomena? The charitable work and positive influence on young fans? The way he represented the company during crucial periods of transition? All of these elements combine to create a legacy that's already secure regardless of what comes next. But final chapters influence how stories are remembered. If Cena's final act involves publicly fighting cancer while completing his farewell tour, that courage in the face of genuine adversity would add dimensions to his legacy that pure athletic achievement never could. Sometimes the most powerful legacy comes not from how we succeed when things are easy but from how we fight when circumstances become dire. The wrestling business moves fast, always looking ahead to the next show, the next angle, the next potential star to build the company around. There's barely time to properly appreciate what's happening in the present before focus shifts to future plans. This forward momentum serves business purposes but sometimes prevents adequate recognition of significant moments until after they've passed. Cena's retirement tour should be opportunity for WWE Universe to collectively acknowledge and celebrate what this man has meant to the industry and to us as fans. Whether health issues accelerate the timeline or not, whether every rumor proves true or false, the undeniable fact remains that we're watching the end of an era. Missing the significance of that while it's happening would be tragedy of its own kind. The comment sections under videos discussing these rumors reveal the wrestling community at its most human. People share stories of how Cena inspired them during difficult periods of their lives. Parents talk about bonding with children over Cena matches and catchphrases. Fans describe meeting him at events and being struck by his genuine warmth and time given to make connections. Even those who criticized his in-ring work or booking push acknowledge his impact and express hope that the dark rumors prove false. These testimonials create a portrait of a performer who transcended his role and became meaningful to people in ways that extend far beyond entertainment value. That's the real measure of success in this business, not championship reigns or match ratings but the lasting positive impact on real human lives. Make sure you subscribe right now because this story is far from over, and the truth, whatever it turns out to be, will emerge in the coming months as Cena's farewell tour continues and more information potentially comes to light about what's really driving his decision to walk away from the ring while he still can.